Most people, the vast majority of people, never become who they could, never reach their potential, never achieve their God-sized dream, never become the person they're proud of because they hide. Hiding throughout life is so sad. And when we get to the end of our lives, I believe our regrets are not the things we attempted to do and failed at. I think regrets are acts of omission, things we never tried. It's hiding in life. And never before in the history of our time is it easier to hide than it is now with all of the distractions that we have. If you're thinking of yourself or someone that you love, think about what it's costing you to play small, what's costing you to hide, and maybe where you hide. There's nothing wrong with being, loving a sports team. There's nothing wrong with looking at your past. There's nothing wrong with supporting your children. There's all kinds of great things about that. Nothing wrong with really being into politics. There's nothing wrong with watching reality TV as entertainment. But when we take them to an extent where we begin to hide in it, that's when it's unhealthy. We don't hide in bad things. We hide in great things. We hide in alcohol because it feels good to drink it. We hide in sports because it's enjoyable. We hide in our past story because we're familiar with it and we can go there. We hide a little bit in our kids because it's so beautiful to support your kids. Everybody's going to celebrate that. And everyone's going, what a great mom or dad. And you should. But then there's a point where you're like, my gosh, I'm getting all of my pleasure and joy, all of it, through their achievement and their work and not mine. That's not healthy. And we don't want to get to the end of our life and have all these acts of omission where you're like, I hid my whole life. In plain sight, I hid. All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. So great to have you with me this week. And let me say this first. I see you. And I think that's important because the topic of this week's show is stop hiding. So many of us, including me in my past, we find ways to hide in our life. And that ability to hide, to stay hidden, to stay invisible, to stay small is what keeps us from reaching our biggest dreams in our life, our God-sized dreams, I call them. And so many of us, and I'd like you to take an inventory today as I go through some of the places people hide. Because let's just be honest, making your biggest dreams come true in your life, I know there's this stuff on social media and Instagram that makes entrepreneurship or dreaming or achievement look glamorous and fun and easy. But if you talk to anybody who's actually done it, they will tell you it's extremely difficult. Winning is not easy. Winning is a grind. Winning is a fight. Winning is a battle. Winning is about growing. Winning is about mental toughness. And I don't think most people have an appreciation of really how much work and really how mentally tough you have to be to make your biggest dreams come true, whether that dream is a big business you want to build or something philanthropic you want to do or that relationship you want to find. You've got to work on yourself and dig deep to do that, to become a multimillionaire or billionaire in your life, whatever those goals are. It's, by the way, or to create something that solves a problem or cures an illness or fixes something or to correct an injustice in the world. This stuff's hard. This is not for the faint of heart. That's why very few people do it. And in my opinion, most people, the vast majority of people, never become who they could, never reach their potential, never achieve their God-sized dream, never become the person they're proud of because they hide. And there's lots of ways to hide. And the only reason I know that there's lots of ways to hide is many of these I've hidden in. And so when I create content and I share, this is not from some soapbox of some guy who's got it all figured out or perfect. I'm just maybe a little bit further down the road. There's this great Chinese proverb I quote often that says, if you want to know the road ahead, ask those coming back. And so if I'm anything for you on this show, I hope I'm maybe just a guy coming back. I've been down the road. And so when I talk about the mistakes that people make, I'm familiar with them because I've made most of them. But hiding throughout life is so sad. And when we get to the end of our lives, I believe our regrets are not the things we attempted to do and failed at, or even hardships or painful times. I think regrets are acts of omission, meaning things we never tried, things we didn't go for, the times we didn't speak up, the times we didn't take a stand, the time we didn't start the business, we didn't buy the property, we didn't ask the person out for the date. Whatever it is, I think it's acts of omission. It's hiding in life. And never before in the history of our time is it easier to hide than it is now with all of the distractions that we have. And so as I go through this today, if you're thinking of yourself or someone that you love, think about what it's costing you to play small, what's costing you to hide, and maybe where you hide. And even as I open up the show, you may say, I'm not hiding, I'm after it. Are you sure? Could you be even more after it? Could you be more focused, giving more, growing more, working harder, enjoying it more, celebrating it more, getting all the juice of life in your emotions more? My guess is because you listen to me or you're watching me, you're a lot like me. And we're crazy people. We're crazy because the status quo is not good enough for us. And when I say the status quo, I don't mean necessarily just stuff or wealth or building or creating, although that can be part of it. It may be just the status quo of us. We want to grow. We want to give more. We want to contribute. I say often, I'm addicted to the expansion of my being. And I don't think that process is ever going to stop for me. I sure hope it doesn't. I think you're either growing or dying in life. And I want to keep growing. That might be growing spiritually at this stage of my life more than it when I was younger. Maybe I wanted to grow financially, or I wanted to grow my body physically. So there's different stages of life where we want to grow, but I know what stops growth. I know what holds us back from our dreams. I know what causes us to play small. I can tell you right now, it's hiding. So let's look at some of the places that you or someone you love may be hiding so that we can just identify it. Because once you acknowledge something, once you have self-awareness over it, you can fix it. It's not even difficult. It's just a matter of acknowledging it, admitting it, stepping up to the next level and going. So where do people hide? First place most people hide, the past. They love to tell the story of their past. And that past could be a good story, a win, something they've achieved, or it could be a story of them telling themselves that was something painful or harmful. And so we live in our stories. See, people that are growing and expanding and giving and living life all out and getting the emotions and the wealth and the contribution and the memories that they want, whatever those things are, they very rarely live in the past. I say all the time, you guys have heard this in my book, The Power of One More. There's 2 points of references in life. There's people that operate out of history and memory. Everything's history and memory. So everything that comes to their present awareness reminds them of something in the past or a memory of theirs. There's history and memory. That's most people. Very few people operate out of a different operating system, which is vision and dreams, the future. We're both in the present, but how do we process the present? Most people process the present through a story that they tell themselves about the past. Other people, extraordinary people, happier people, process the present, okay? And they've got vision and dreams to look forward to. And so the past, are you hiding in the past? Let's look at 2 ways that people do it. Number 1, it's some story about something that happened. I often talk an awful lot about my dad being an alcoholic when I was a young man. And as I was doing that, and as I was writing the book, and as I've given those talks, I've had to be very careful not to live there. But I actually tell that story about the past to forecast the future. But I don't live in that story. I'm no longer living with my dad. My dad's passed away. My dad is no longer an alcoholic. He quit drinking for 35 years, and he's gone now. That story's the past. Now, the memories, the lessons, all of that, I use in the present and the future. But many people will tell that type of a story the rest of their life. So a divorce you've had, are you still telling that story? By the way, telling it doesn't mean you're verbally saying it all the time. Stay with me. Because you think about it. It's where you live. We live in our thoughts. So when I say, talk about it, it may not be verbal. It may just be your thought process. How often do you think about a relationship from the past, right? Or a failure from the past, or where you were a victim in the past, or where someone harmed you in the past, or a previous career, or you look back at a time in your life with reverence, like I wish I looked like I used to look, or felt like I used to feel, right? And so, or a stage of your life, man, I wish I was back where my kids were little again, or I wish I was younger again, or I wish I was back in school, whatever it is. You're telling yourself a story about the past. Now, and usually they're sad stories. Then there's other people who they tell stories about wins they've had. They've been living off that story for way too long. The old adage of the guy who talks about he's 30 years old, he's still talking about high school football. That's one version that's obvious. But some of you are still talking about some sale you closed 6 months ago, right? Some business win you had a year and a half ago, and you're still living in it. You're still basking in the glow. It's still something you focus on. I could tell you, the most successful people I know, on to the next. That doesn't mean they don't celebrate their wins. They do. I talk a lot about this in my content. I talk about the concept of blissful dissatisfaction, learning to live blissfully, simultaneously dissatisfied. Concept of blissful dissatisfaction, most people don't get. You can live in bliss and still not be satisfied and want to grow. People conflate satisfaction and happiness. They're totally different things. You can be extremely happy and still have this internal dissatisfaction that you want to grow and expand and get better. But a lot of people tell wins of the past, stories of the past. And it could be 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It could be last month. Let's just be serious. If you're in sales, last month's ancient history. You still talking about last month? You still talking about some award you won a year ago? So I'm being direct with you today, but you have to really look at it. How much of the time are you spending in the past? Right? And that is a place to hide. Hide in your victim story, hide in a true story that was painful or harmful. Either way, it doesn't exist anymore. So, there's a lot of people out there right now learning about the benefits of fasting, like weight loss, obviously the mental and physical performance and gut health, but worry about the whole, not eating part. Well, that's exactly why Prolon was created. The good thing about it is Prolon is not a diet. It's actually science. It's science based on internationally recognized discoveries in medicine. And it all starts with Prolon's 5-day program. You get snacks, soups, and beverages, all designed to keep your body in a fasting state. But unlike anything you've ever experienced before, your body believes it's fasting and conducts itself as if it were fasting. Right now, Prolon is offering the Ed Mylett Show listeners 15% off their 5-day nutrition program. So go to prolonlife.com/Mylett. So that's Prolon, Prolon, life.com/Mylett for this special offer. That's prolonlife.com/Mylett. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases or condition. This is what's crazy about telling stories or living or thinking in the past. It doesn't exist anymore. It's to some extent a figment of our imagination. You can't change it. There's no way to go back to it. You can reprocess what it means, which I've talked a lot about in my content, but a lot of people hide in their story of the past, both defeats, victories, great memories, and not so good ones. A lot of you achievers that are listening to me, you spend a lot of your time dwelling on wins you've had in the past. And you allow those wins to comfort you from doing the real hard work now, because things aren't as bad in your life as they used to be. I worked the hardest in my life. Many people tell me, and I know this was true for me when I was young, when I was the most broke, when I was working to eat, working to pay rent. And then what happens is in life, as we climb a little higher, our comfort level gets greater. And we just don't quite have that edge. And I think all of you that have won at some level know what I mean, that edge. You lose that edge because you focus a little bit and take comfort and solace in wins that don't even exist anymore. They were last month, last week, last year. I love when I watch a champion win and I study them when they win an NBA title or a golf tournament. You can tell some of them are like, well, this is the pinnacle. This is it. I've made the top. You can tell other ones are like, this is awesome. I'm going to celebrate this. This is tremendous, but I want another one. I want to climb higher. And so are you hiding in the past? That's number one. Number two, do you hide in sports? A lot of male friends of mine spend a lot of time hiding in sports. I'm a fan. I'm a sports fan. I was an athlete at a pretty high level in college. And I'm a Boston Red Sox fan. Many of you see me with my Red Sox hat on, and from time to time, I'm a fan of the team. I cheer for it. I love watching sports because I love watching greatness. I love watching competition, but I don't hide there. I'm under no illusion that whether they win or lose, it impacts my life. But you all know a lot of men in your life, let's just be honest, they wear a jersey with another man's name on the back. That's weird. Right? You all know that guy. Some of you are that guy watching right now. You're a grown man and you're wearing the jersey that says Kobe Bryant on the back, or LeBron, or Gretzky, or whoever. You got to just evaluate that. I mean that as a friend. Should you really be wearing another grown man's name on your family's back? Are you hiding a little bit? Do you get a little bit too connected? Have you ever caught yourself saying, we won Sunday? We won last night? That's hiding. You don't play for that team. You don't play. On your tombstone, they're not going to list any of the wins of some sports team you're a spectator for, who, by the way, you pay the salaries of the people you're cheering for with your ticket prices and TV watching. Oh, but that jersey you bought. So it's worth watching. A lot of you, I can hear it right now. A lot of you have friends like that. You're going to send this to your friend. And by the way, brother or sister that wears those uniforms, I don't mean that as a criticism. I just think you need to know that's odd. And it's something to evaluate. I love sports. Am I happy when the Red Sox win? Sure. Do I lose any sleep when they lose? No. And if you do, that's strange. If you say we or us, you don't play for that team. You don't play for that team. By the way, nowadays it's so silly. Players switch teams all the time. Most part, they just take where the money's. They're free agents, right? They just go. So your self-worth, your life, how much time you spending on other people's lives, just fantasizing and dreaming that you play for that team. And somehow if they win, here's what happens. If you can focus on them, maybe nobody will pay attention to you. If you can focus on that sports team, maybe no one is really going to pay attention to what you're doing. Or maybe you don't have to. And maybe somehow, in some bizarre way, you think if 9 strangers on a baseball field win a baseball game, somehow that will comfort you in your life, even though you don't play on that team, they don't pay you to play there. But you getting it? Are you doing any hiding in sports? Are you? Okay. Or do you know anybody who's hiding in sports? And let's just be honest. If you're a grown man over 18 years old, probably got to stop wearing another man's uniform. Okay. Now, by the way, that's one place to hide. And again, I want to make sure I finish this. I love sports. The minute I start to make money, I want to sit behind home plate. I want to do that. I've been to World Series. I've been to Super Bowls. I've been to NBA Finals. There's a TV to my left with 4 screens on it. In fact, I'll show you if I could show it. Everybody see that? There's a TV right there. If you're on audio, it doesn't matter. 4 screens on it. The mirror behind me, everybody, turns into a TV. You know what I watch on that? Sports. I love sports. I love cheering. I love celebrating when they hit a home run. But that's it. It's not my self-worth. It's not my dream. It's their dream. And I love watching people make their dreams come true. But I'm under no illusion that my dream's coming true when they hit a home run. You follow what I'm saying? So just full balance. I love sport. I'm a sports fanatic because I played and I wasn't good enough to play at the level that I watch on TV. And I love greatness. I love watching hard work pay off, all of that kind of stuff. But it does not let me out of my life. I'm living my life. They're living theirs. Hopefully, if you win really big, they'd clap and cheer for you. Third place that people hide in their life, reality TV. Reality TV. And I'll put them together, / politics. Politics has become a bit of reality TV, hasn't it? And we sort of pick our team and root for them. But these reality TV shows, we kind of live through their lives. Oh, did you see what she said to her? And isn't that just silly? Can it be entertaining? Yes. If you take it anywhere past that, you are living in their lives because you're not living yours. And so this is just something to evaluate. I say this as a friend because remember, all of these things, when I was a young man, by the way, go to the sports thing. I remember when I was a young man, the Red Sox lost to the Mets in the World Series. I believe it's 1986. I must have cried for a week. I thought my life was over. But I was also a 16-year-old boy then. And I've watched games before where I'm throwing things at a TV and I'm like, I don't even play for this team. So I relate to all of that. I have many friends who are on reality television. I love them. But I don't think you should be living your life and paying such close attention to their life that you miss paying attention to your life. And are you hiding a bit in their lives because yours isn't interesting enough? You're not challenging yourself. You're not growing. You're not expanding. You're not willing to fail. You're a little bit afraid of not going forward in your life. You just have to be honest. Maybe that's not true for you, but if the shoe fits, it's worth asking yourself. That's why you listen to content like this, right? Politics. I think it's important to be informed, know what's going on in the world, take a stand on things that you believe in to create change in the world, your country, your community, etc. And then I think we all know that we can start to take it a little too far, can't we? And we begin to just obsess about these people and what they're doing and what they're saying and who said this press conference today and what said that. And these guys are dummies. It's affected my own mental health, getting so sad or angry or upset. And so do I think it's great to be informed? Yes. Do I think you should take a stand? Do I think you should be well-read? Do I think you should speak up when appropriate if you choose to and you're educated about it, you're passionate about it? Absolutely. Do I think you should spend your entire life, unless that's your career, obsessing about it, thinking about it all the time, turning the TV on, spending hours and hours and hours, then your Instagram feed and then your Twitter feed and your TikTok, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, I went the whole day and didn't focus on my life. This is pretty convenient, isn't it? I can get mad at this politician or excited about this person. And isn't this notion of this person's going to change my life? Has any politician ever changed your life? And what is it that you've surrendered control of your entire life to some person you see on TV that they're going to change your life? With all due respect, you need to change your life. right? So it's just, I know this is uncomfortable. I don't want to make sure I'm not offending anybody, but it's worth looking at yourself. Am I a little bit too far down the road? Am I out over the edge on this stuff? Am I waiting for them to change my life? Because if you're 30 years old, you've been alive through a whole bunch of these people that told you they were going to change your life. None of them did, both political parties, right? And so does that mean that you shouldn't have an opinion about Ukraine? Of course you should. Does that mean that you shouldn't be passionate about your position on things in the Middle East or the economy or taxes or um, life or social issues or civil rights issues? Of course you should. Of course you should. Of course you should. But unless it's your career, should it be all consuming like it's become for so many, where it actually affects your mental health and the way you look at your fellow Americans, if you're in the country or people in your community? Worth evaluating. Are you doing too much hiding there? So how much do you think you're probably paying every single month for subscriptions? I got to tell you this, the answer is probably more than you think. 74% of people have subscriptions that they've forgotten about, and they're coming out of your bank account every single month. If you've forgotten about subscriptions, or maybe some have gone up in price you're not aware of, let Rocket Money help you out. Studies show that most Americans think they spend about $62 a month on their subscriptions, but get this, for many, the real number is more like $300 a month. That's literally thousands of dollars a year you're just wasting away coming out of your accounts or on cards that you don't know about because you probably forgot about them, or maybe you're never even signed up in the first place. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/Mylett, MYLETT. That's rocketmoney.com/Mylett. rocketmoney.com/Mylett. Here's a big one. Your kids. Do you hide in your kids? Are you starting to live your life through them? Are you taking their sports a little too seriously, their grades a little too seriously? Is it convenient to spend all of your time projecting your dreams because you're playing small to get them to play big? And are you putting undue pressure on them subconsciously, unconsciously? I've watched a lot of my really good friends who are very successful people and really charging hard and really making a difference. And you can take everything to an extreme. Should your life be dedicated to your children? Should they be your first priority? Should you sacrifice for your children? 1,000,000%. There's a line there, I think you'd agree, though, where you're no longer just sacrificing, you're living vicariously through them. And we hide in our own children, or we use our children as an excuse not to go win. And so sacrifice, giving, focus, contribution, love, all consuming, unconditional love, total support, giving up on some things short term while your children are a certain age. Love all of it. But there's also a point, like anything, where you are starting to hide there, and you have a life as well. You have dreams as well. And so that's a place to evaluate. And then a couple other places: alcohol, drugs, gambling, whatever that might be, a vice. Are you spending too much time in that area where you kind of hide there? You hide in the alcohol, you hide in the drug, you hide in the gambling, you hide in whatever it is. You hide in pornography, you hide in, like I've said earlier, TV or social. But are you hiding in these substances is more the point on this one, the alcohol and drugs. Are you hiding there? Is it an escape for you? Does it become a place you escape to because of pressure or anxiety or fears or just not feeling good about yourself? Worth evaluating that other place that people hide. I'll give you another place people hide. They hide in their preparation. They're constantly getting ready to do something. I'm preparing, I'm reading, preparation/education. I'm going to get this degree. I'm going to get this. I'm preparing myself. There's a point in life where you just have to do it. Like, you're not going to be completely prepared, right? But some people tend to hide, in their education or their preparation or the event they go to or the book they're reading. I'm getting ready to get ready. I'm getting ready to get ready. I'm hiding. They hide in the preparation because the preparation looks like work, right? The preparation is some form of work, but they actually never leave preparation. They never go to execute. They're always being educated. They're always learning. They're always preparing. They're always strategizing, but they never go execute. They hide in the education and the preparation. This is a dream stealer. It's insidious. What's crazy about all these things, if you think about what I've listed, all of them in moderation and the appropriate dose are okay. There's nothing wrong with being, loving a sports team. There's nothing wrong with looking at your past and evaluating it and taking the lessons from it. There's nothing wrong with you know, supporting your children. There's all kinds of great things about that. Nothing wrong with really being into politics. There's nothing wrong with watching reality TV as entertainment. There's nothing wrong with preparation. But when we take them to an extent where we begin to hide in it, that's when it's unhealthy. Drugs and alcohol, same thing. If you can drink alcohol in moderation and it's okay for you, great. I do. In fact, there's bottles of alcohol right behind me right now. But if I start to escape there, and I got to be honest with you, I said this on a podcast a few weeks ago. I had a little phase there for 6 weeks. I'm like, am I escaping in this stuff a little bit? Like, this isn't like me. And I had to evaluate it. So I just want you playing your game. I want you playing your big game in your life. You were born to do something great with your life. Some people hide in their spouse. They just support their spouse. That's all. By the way, that's a beautiful thing. It's like anything. But if you lose everything in that, I don't know that that's healthy. So the most beautiful thing you can do is support your children, support your spouse, of course. And to the depth that you do it is probably the type of mother or wife or husband or father you are. You should do this in droves. But we all know when I said earlier that crazy sports parent, you thought of somebody, didn't you? You know what I'm talking about. You thought about this person your kid played soccer with or little league with. You're like, yeah, they're just a little over the line, and it's unhealthy. When I was talking about the person who's too addicted to politics, you thought about somebody. When I talked about the person who's too addicted to reality TV, the sports guy, you thought about somebody. So these are real things. Yet all of them are some of the great things. Like we don't hide in bad things. We hide in great things. So we hide in alcohol because it feels good to drink it. We hide in going too deep into politics because we can create change. And so we should. We hide in sports because it's enjoyable. We hide in our past story because we're familiar with it and we can go there. We hide in all of these things. We hide a little bit in our kids because it's so beautiful to support your kids. And everybody's going to celebrate that. And everyone's going, what a great mom or dad. And you should. But then there's a point where you're like, my gosh, I'm getting all of my pleasure and joy, all of it through their achievement and their work and not mine. That's not healthy, right? It's good to prepare. But there's a point where like you got to stop preparing and you got to go execute and lose and take some shots and get knocked down and do the hard work that comes with winning. Because as I said in the beginning, winning isn't glamorous. It's not pretty. It's not easy. It's a fight. It's a battle. It's a grind. Yet it's worth it. And we don't want to get to the end of our life and have all these acts of omission where you're like, I hid my whole life in plain sight. I hid. My entire life, I hid in sports. I hid in this. I hid in my kids. I hid in politics. I hid in reality TV. I hid in alcohol. Come on. Here's the other place people hide. Their fears. They hide in their fears and their worries and their anxiety. And as a consequence, they play small. And that's another place to hide. It just scares you. So you hide in them and you repeat them over and over again. And let me give you the last one. And they're brother and sister. Comparison and gossip. We hide in talking about other people, being critical of other people, spreading information about other people, or comparing ourselves to other people. We hide in well, I'm doing better than him, so I'm doing okay. I'm doing better than her, so I'm all right. Man, they're going through a divorce. At least we're not getting divorced. Or, man, they lost their house. I still have my house. So we do that. We comfort ourselves by picking people who are doing worse or are suffering more than us or aren't in the emotional place they need to be. Or we do the reverse. Man, they're just so great. I'd never be like them before. They're intimidating. Man, look how confident they are, or good looking they are, or successful they are, or the momentum they've got, or all the support and help they have. I don't have that support and help at home. He's winning because his wife's so supportive, or she's winning because her husband's so supportive. I don't have that kind of support. So that's why I'm losing. And you hide in that excuse. So today is all about evaluating, am I hiding it all? And is any of this hidden stuff I'm doing impacting my life? And so all of these things are really great in the right moderation. Some of them you should do a ton of. Can you really love your spouse or support your children too much? Probably not. But can you begin to hide there? Yes. Yep, you can. Can you take a stand too much for something you believe in? No. But can you allow it to affect your mental health and begin to hide there a little bit? So you don't, yes. So what I wanted to do today was, because I think oftentimes winning is not just adding new things that you need to do. It's removing the obstacles. It's removing the things that are harming you and getting real and doing the real work of life of saying, who do I really want to be? And currently, who am I right now? And what am I hiding in? What is holding me back? What are the places I take comfort or waste time in or get so obsessed with that it becomes an unhealthy obsession as opposed to something that fuels my dreams and my goals? And I think if you do the hard work, the honest work, here's what's great about today's show. This is just you. You don't need to yell this out loud. You need to admit this to anybody. This is just your own work. You know, the sports thing, not that into it. Maybe that's you, right? Politics, yeah, got some stands, passionate, but I think it's healthy for me. But that comparison gossip thing, not the gossip, but the comparison, I definitely do that one. Or you know what? Maybe I am spending too much time on social media. Maybe I am a little bit wigged out over my politics stuff and it's getting a little unhealthy for me. And then the very change I want to make, I'm not capable of making because I can't communicate my best or think my clearest because I've gone over this line. Or you know what, man? You're right. I'm spending way too much time caring about whether the Yankees or Cowboys or Lakers or Celtics or Edmonton Oilers win. Yeah, I should be entertained. I should root for my team, pride of where we come from. But yeah, man, you're right. I kind of hang out and hide there a little bit because that way I don't have to look at what I did last week or last month or last year or where I am. And even if where you are is winning, could you win more if that were moderated correctly? Right? How about your fears? What's crazy about this list is I got to be honest with you. I think I've actually suffered from every one of these personally at some point to some extent where it got a little unhealthy. And I think that's why I've made the list. And by the way, there's lots of other places people can hide. That story of the past, good or bad, I've used the bad one for sure, where, hey, I come from this, my family that, we didn't have any resources, my dad was an alcoholic. I've used that one. And I've also sort of used some of my wins to validate and justify my slowing down before. And that was a BS story. That was BS. And so all of these are things, and I hope you understand the spirit in which I did this today, is because I love you and I believe in you. And I believe the world becomes better when good people reach their God-given potential. I believe your family's better when you reach your God-given potential. I believe your community's better. I believe you're better. I believe you serve God more when you just reach your potential. And we do the hard work, not just the motivational work where, you know, hey, we feel great, we feel great. Okay, what's stopping me? What's holding me back? Am I hiding? Where am I hiding? I don't want to get out of this life having hidden. I don't want to get out of this life being invisible, right? People ask me all the time, what do you want to be remembered by? I don't need to be remembered. I would love for my children or grandchildren, my family to remember me. But I want my life to echo through eternity that I made some difference in someone else's life. That's what you can leave here. You can't take any of this stuff with you. You can't take this bar with me or my house or my car or money or this shirt. Can't take any of this with me. This microphone's not going anywhere with me. But I can leave something here. And I want you to leave your mark here. I want you to live your best life. I want you to max out your life. People forget my tagline for years is max out. And it's what eliminates it. It's if you're looking at a bench press and you're maxing out, right? What extra weights are on that bench that's making it harder for you in your life to lift it? And what I did today is I listed some of those extra weights that may be holding you back from maxing out. And so we talked about them: sports, gossip, comparison, TV, social media, reality TV, politics, kids, you know, fears, spouse, alcohol, preparation, the story you're telling yourself, sport, all of it. Maybe it's a little bit of a weight. And if we removed it or modulated it or moderated it, we could max out. All right, everybody. If you resonated with today's show or think somebody needs to hear it, please send them in the spirit of a brother to them from me, not a critic. I love you all. Max out.